And we're live. Divine Sense Boxing in the building. Hope you guys have had a good Saturday so far. I believe it is Saturday night for you, and it is an early Sunday morning for me as you see the sunlight here piercing through the windows. Beautiful day to be alive, beautiful day to be thankful to be alive, and to be around our loved ones, first and foremost. Real quick roll call for those who came in extra early before the stream started. We got El Jefe. I'm not sure if he's still here. He dropped in several hours early. We also have Shoot. We have Yave Carrillo, Alfred, Stormy B Man in the building, of course. Nab Artist, Alfred, and Antoine. So good to see you guys. Quick little roll call here. You guys see the title of the live stream today. We're going to talk about the juggernauts of boxing, the heavyweights. So, I've readjusted my schedule. If you guys don't know, I'm going live every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Those are the guaranteed times that I will be going live. Those are exclusive times that do not run into any other of the other channels' times. So that means you'll be able to watch Divine Sense, you'll be able to watch Stormy B, you'll be able to watch Drew Titan, you'll be able to watch 78, you'll be able to watch Deontay's Boxing Nation, and whoever else you may support. Those times that I've selected, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, will be exclusive for Divine Sense Boxing only. Now, in between those days, I'll probably be uploading videos, and I might do some on-the-fly lives here and there if I find something very intriguing that I want to talk about real quickly. But nonetheless, make sure you guys are tuned into that new schedule. Also, on top of that, this is the beginning of a new saga, a new season called Firestorm. Okay, so Firestorm is going to be exclusive for every Saturday night. And on Firestorm, drop a link into the chat and invite anybody to come in to join the show. This will be only on Saturdays. So if you feel strongly about something, you want to counter my point, you want to state a point, or you simply just want to drop in, have a nice conversation, the link is pinned at the top of the chat. As I said, this will be exclusive for Saturdays only in the Firestorm. So the Firestorm is, we might be ready for some heat. We got to be ready for heat. We got to be ready for people that may or not agree with us. But that's why we have the wrenches on standby to make sure the chat is cordial and respectful. So shout out to all my wrenches and everybody else that has been supporting the channel, of course. We've got Simon Carr coming in from the UK. Salute to Simon. We've got Devin Blocker, and we've got Terry Smoot Jr. also jumping in tonight, Saturday night. So before I get the ball rolling here straight into the heavyweights, which I have a lot of stuff to discuss, and I'll be giving you guys my personal thoughts on how I see the heavyweight division unfolding, of course. And as we plug along here, you can also join the show if you want, and of course, stay in support in the chat. Before that, of course, we all know that there is an event coming up tomorrow. I guess it's afternoon. I'm not even quite sure the time there in the States. We have an event. I call it an event. It's not a boxing match, in my opinion. And that, of course, is Woodley and Paul. Jake Paul, that is, going head to head. A lot of people have reached out to me asking my thoughts about it. I kind of got a little bit tired of, I guess, avoiding to answer the question because it just, number one, I haven't really looked into it very much because it's not that important to me. On an entertainment value, will I watch it? Possibly. And that's just because it's on a Sunday, Monday for me, so I might watch it. But nonetheless, I just made a video about it about 10 hours ago. If you're really curious to know what I think about the Tyron Woodley and the Jake Paul fight, it's on my channel, man. Go check it out. I made a 5-minute video about it, and you guys can go check it out. I'm sure it'll be entertaining to some degree, but I would much rather talk about real boxing matches. And that, of course, is we've got October 9th, right? We all have that date pinned up on our calendar. Maybe some of you are going to the fight. Maybe some of you know people that are going to the fight. Maybe you've got your barbecue set up, ready to cook. Whatever the case may be, that is a date to not only look forward to, but a date to be remembered. October 9th, right? Which segues into the conversation of heavyweights. So, yeah, Antoine, that's true. The female fighters on that card are nice, though. That is very true. I have a lot of respect for Amanda. And in that regard, I do agree. Unfortunately, it's being overshadowed by Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, but you know, it is what it is. I'll probably tune in just to see how it all unfolds, and I'll probably make a post-fight video of the female fights with Amanda and see how she does. She's a beast. She's definitely a beast. And so I'll be on here, I guess, Monday night maybe. Well, no, Sunday night for you guys to give you guys my post-fight thoughts. So you guys can look forward to that as well. But let's talk about these heavyweights, man. I've seen quite a few people talk about it. Different areas of the heavyweight division. Some people, I noticed that 78 dropped a video saying that AJ is planning not to fight Wilder if he gets past Usyk. I saw Drew Titan post something about Tyson Fury changing trainers again. It seems like a very common routine by Tyson Fury, changing trainers constantly. And a few other videos that are surfacing about Deontay Wilder's training as we continue to inch closer to the fight. So there are a lot of little interesting details that are starting to come forth, as I said, as we get close to the fight. And it's going to continue to be like that. I mean, once we get into September, which is right around the corner, it's going to start getting very interesting. And I hope that all the people that came on here last month, earlier this month, that said, man, the October 9th date's not going to happen. I hope at least that you guys are a bit more confident now that the October 9th date will happen and we will see Fury and Wilder face off. From what I know, Tyson Fury's daughter has recovered. She's back at home. Also, I heard that he's back in the UK working with his dad or whoever else that's in that camp. So those are signs of things moving forward, as long as he doesn't snap his back doing deadlifts or, you know, do something stupid like ride a bike down an icy hill and fall and crack his head open, you know, things like that. But it looks positive that things are moving forward. So that's a good sign. Now, I think that Deontay Wilder he's been ready for a very long time. He's been ready. He was ready for the July 24th date. So it's actually more for Tyson Fury making sure that he gets ready. He gets in shape. He has the right game plan. And something must have happened with the Crunk's gym and Sugar Hill and Tyson Fury's dad getting involved. And I'm not 100% sure of what happened exactly. If you guys have more info, feel free to either join the show or drop a comment here in the chat. Shout out to Antoine, man, to start it off, kick it off with a nice big super chat. I appreciate you, man. As always, Antoine's one of those one of those subscribers who always drop in a super chat, and I really do appreciate it, man, more than you know. Antoine says that, Fury might go eat some more boar nuts in the UK. Maybe that's why he went back. We don't know exactly why he went back. A lot of suspicion and rumors and things like that. But for me, I don't care. Going back to eat boar's balls, go work with his dad, whatever the case may be. I'm just glad to see that it seems as if things are moving forward. And now, about a little over a month left, Tyson Fury knows that there's not much time left, and he's got to get prepared. So that's what I want to just throw out there if you haven't heard the latest. Alfred says that I didn't think you would say it. Say what? Eating boar's balls? I mean, that's one of the rumors, right? I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but I mean, that's what people are saying. I mean, I don't know, man. Alfred says Team Fury ain't on the same page. Who knows? Who knows, man? I do want to share with you guys something, man, as we get into this conversation of Deontay Wilder. I am going to talk about Anthony Joshua today as well. I think that that's something that needs to be done. I will also be making a prediction video of the Joshua and Usyk fight. I've had to think long and hard about it, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a very difficult fight for Joshua, more than what a lot of people are really considering. And I'll talk about that a little bit more here in a bit. But in the meantime, I just want to play this, man, of Deontay Wilder and see how he's looking here. This was uploaded a couple days ago. But it looks like it's something that I've seen before. Perhaps it's just been re-uploaded. But what I wanted to do is just kind of walk and kind of talk you guys through of what I'm seeing here with the movement of Deontay Wilder. Give you guys a little bit more of a stylistic viewpoint here. Now, you see something different right away, right? You see that Wilder has at times in previous fights be very stationary, sometimes very rigid. And what Malik is trying to drill in here is the bounce, right? That nice, subtle, sweet bounce, staying on your toes, being fluid, staying relaxed in the shoulders, right? Not being so rigid, not being so tight. That's a very important thing, especially in the heavyweight division, right? And he's got his hands down on his hips. Malik Scott, that is. He's got his hands down, something that Tyson Fury does do quite often, and he'll probably do it again on October 9th. And he's keeping Wilder alert. See, that's the thing. A lot of people, they watch this, right? They watch this video and they see Malik bouncing around, hands down at his hips and doing these little subtle things. And most people, right, casuals, that is, they just think it's a show. They think it's, that's something that Malik is doing for show. But no, I mean, there is strategy behind all of this. Okay. And that's what people have to understand. So when we walk through this, we have the bounce. He keeps the hands at the side, something that Fury does. And what he's doing is he's keeping Wilder alert. So he pops the hands up. And as soon as those hands go up, Wilder pops off. Pop, pop. 1, 2. Bounces out as well, as you can notice, to his right. So I'm going to play that back one more time. He pops it on his toes. 1, 2. That's a jab there. One. Oh shit! I didn't play it back again. Let's try it again. I want to show one particular thing here. 1-2, pop out to his right. So when he pops out to his right, he's moving away from that right hand of Tyson Fury, and also keeping that range adjusted to stay away from that flicking jab of Fury as well. Subtle adjustments here that a lot of people, don't take notice to. And it's staying fluid, it's staying comfortable, it's staying relaxed, controlling your breathing. There's no need to hit the mitts and throw a 10-punch combination. It's subtle. Jab. 1-2, out. 1-2-3, out. Jab, left hook, out. Jab the body out. Staying fluid, staying relaxed, staying in control of your own movement, not allowing your opponent to dictate the pace. Now, another thing that's about to come here, and notice how it's, again, mitts back down at the hips. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Now he's going to go to the body here. Jab, back out. Jab. 2, slip, body. Rotate out. I mean, this is something that we haven't seen from Wilder, really. So when people talk about, it don't mean nothing that Wilder is with Malik Scott, people are so ignorant and arrogant to the simple facts that when he was with Mark Breland, it was very repetitive. Every time we would see a training video leading up to a fight, it was very repetitive in the way that he trained and hit the mitts and did the things that he did. And the only way you would know that is if you're a Deontay Wilder supporter. You know what I mean? You've been watching him over the years. People that are coming over here now that haven't really been paying attention are the people that are saying like, he doesn't look any different to me. Doesn't make a difference. Malik Scott doesn't make a difference. This is a huge eye-opener for me. Although I've been a Deontay Wilder fan beforehand, now with Malik Scott going into this trilogy fight, I'm even more confident than what I was going into the first and second fight. I mean, light years more confident. This fight is not going past 6 rounds. I'm telling people right now, mark it down, write it down on the wall, save it. I'm telling you. Shout out to Big Dog Willie, man. And he's an official member of the channel. Always got to give love to the official members. TS Boxing, what's good? Deshaun, what's good? Deshaun, you don't think I'm ignorant, do you, Divine? Well, why would I think that, bro? Why would I think that? Because you didn't notice the changes in his training? I'm just simply saying that a lot of people, that may include you, it may not, a lot of people that came and were criticizing this new training that he was displaying with Malik Scott, they were saying, it's nothing new. He looks the same. And I beg to differ because I've been watching Deontay Wilder for a very long time. And I implore people not to get caught up in emotion. Even if I'm a Tyson Fury fan, I'm going to take notice. If I'm a real boxing fan, I'm going to take notice to this. It's the 1-2. That body work is going to be crucial. It's going to be absolutely crucial. And the main thing is using his reach and range to the fullest extent as well. But the head movement, being light on his feet, being alert, attacking the body, stepping out, turning. Look at this. This is purely working on defense right here, ladies and gentlemen. Purely working on defense. And notice how he's rolling out to his right. You see, the thing is people don't notice these little things right here. Look at that. Left hook, roll out to his right. Now, if Tyson Fury were to throw a right hand from this position, he's completely off balance. The only thing Tyson Fury can do is flick the jab out. But you see, he's already ducked and slipped out to his right, creating the space and creating vision for himself. Right? And then once they set their feet, look at the distance that has been created by Deontay Wilder. These are things that Malik Scott is teaching Deontay Wilder. All right. Now they have the distance created. And once again, slip, roll out to the right, create the distance once again. All right. And Malik Scott's working on that flicking jab, which Tyson Fury does. Flicking the jab, moving the head. They're not practicing on punches. Oh, now they are, but it's mostly, and I'm actually quite surprised if they've released this much, to be quite honest with you. This is very telling. And this type of footage is something that very possibly could have been leaked to John Fury and his team, where they were like, oh, this is something different. This is a different Deontay Wilder. And you going in there with Sugar Hill just working on power shots is not going to be enough, right? We went live. We talked about it. We talked about the interview that John Fury had with BT Sports or whatever it's called, where he expressed concern. He was worried for his son. And he said that Deontay Wilder has been training. Deontay Wilder's taking it serious. Deontay Wilder's still the most dangerous man in the heavyweight division. I need him to come back to the UK. I need him to get away from this type of training that he's doing because it will not turn out well for him. That came from his own father's mouth, not my mouth, not the media's mouth, his own father. And the fact that Deontay has released this type of footage is very telling. And it means that basically, hey, this is what I'm doing. You may chuckle at it and shrug your shoulders at it and think it's not that serious, but I'm showing you the improvements. I'm showing you how the tools are being sharpened. And it's up to you if you're going to make adjustments. Now, maybe he is 1 month out, basically. We're about a month and a little bit away from the fight now. And by him releasing this type of footage, if you're a boxing head like myself, it's very telling when it comes to the type of training that they're doing here. Inside of a ring with ropes in it, working on very specific details. And Deontay Wilder's he's not worried that this type of footage is out there. And he's like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Now come and stop me. This is what my coach back in the day used to tell me is called shadowing, right? So you shadow your opponent. If your opponent tries to slip out, this is part of cutting the ring off, right? And what a lot of fighters do in that situation is when a fighter wheels out to their left, then you follow him by moving the same direction. So you move to your left as well. But instead, you move laterally. And when you move laterally, you put your opponent in a box. And it makes it difficult to make a decision. If you wheel out to your left and you go to your left as well, then you just continue that circular motion. But when you stand your ground and you shadow and you stay lateral, which is what Kasimoto should have done to Rigondeaux, but he couldn't, then you make it difficult. As I said, you put them in a box, right? And you're maintaining distance and shadow. See that? You see that? Jab, 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 shadow. Most right-handed fighters, when they're being attacked, they move to their left. Okay? Move out, shadow. cut it off. See, this is some serious shit here, people. This is some serious shit. This is real. This is 100% real. Trick Boxing, man, what's good? SM, what's good, man? Good to see you. Once again, fluid on his toes, bouncing, moving. Not allowing his opponent to set his feet. Moving to the left, moving to the right, wheel out. I mean, have we ever seen this from Deontay Wilder before? Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is new. This is an improved, more dangerous, more tactful Deontay Wilder. Nicholas, what's good, man? Moped, what's good? Smash that like button as you guys come in. Loud Boy, man, what's good? Good to see you in the chat as well. Stormy says, notice the shortening of his punches now, along with proper technique, and lastly, hiding the right hand, which is obviously his most devastating punch. Shout out to Stormy B dropping in that knowledge. Alfred says the defense, movement, and the angles that Wilder is using is absolutely devastating. Every heavyweight that gets in the ring with Wilder is in trouble. 100%. And see, the fact that people were like, oh, he's just a one-trick pony. He doesn't have any other skills other than the right hand. We're seeing the true athletic ability here. Okay, this is what we're witnessing. This is something that Wilder has always possessed, was athletic ability. He just needed the right people in his corner to unleash his full potential. And this isn't necessarily a knock on Mark Breland. You know, maybe Mark Breland and Deontay just didn't mesh well. You know what I mean? And I don't know if Mark Breland is a good trainer or not per se, or if he'll end up being one in the future, or maybe he'll never be relevant again. I don't know. But based off of what I'm seeing is that there are clear and definite differences in the type of training that was being taught to Deontay Wilder. This is something that Malik Scott probably saw. Malik Scott saw somebody who has the most devastating power in the heavyweight division, period, point blank. He felt that power. He fought Deontay Wilder. So he knows that. Then he noticed and saw the athletic ability that wasn't being utilized to its fullest extent. And like I said, now he's unleashing that. He is sharpening it. And you're seeing it in these type of training videos. I'll say it again. This fight is not going past 6 rounds. Devon says, Stormy says, Devon, no, be concerned for what they are not showing. Remember, camps release what they want you to see. I'm stoked by what's left in concealment. Also very true. Yes. Obviously, the sparring sessions, Deontay's bringing in people that can simulate a Fury style, which is not easy to do. Somebody his size and stature and reach and length. But obviously, we don't see the real sparring footage, the things that they're working on specifically. But you're right, Stormy. They do release things that they don't mind or don't care about the public seeing. But I feel like this is quite a lot in comparison to a lot of other training camps. Usually we get a little bit of heavy bag work. We get some double in bag. We get some speed bag. We get some basic mitts. But this is something quite unique that we're witnessing here. Moped says, we got to pray Wilder get his opportunity at Fury because Fury played games too much. Oh, October 9th is happening. I've continued to speak it into existence, and it's going to happen. like that's just the way that I'm operating at the moment, man. Speaking things into existence. Law of attraction. You know what I mean? And like I said earlier in the stream, I know you just popped in, Moped, but Tyson Fury's daughter has recovered and has returned back with the family. He's back in the UK now. The clock is ticking. We've got a month and a few days left to go. And he knows that, this is his opportunity to make the last ditch effort to prepare. And let's be honest, at this point in time, Deontay's still training, but it's more of not overtraining. It's staying in shape, staying sharp, but he's already put the pedal to the metal. He's already put the fullest extent of work already in. He's done the work already. Now it's just a matter of staying sharp, staying fresh, staying healthy, and that's it. Fury that has to really start making up a game plan, because I don't think he had a game plan going up until July 24th. He had zero game plan. He literally thought, I'm going to go up in there. I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did the second fight. Then the birds were chirping, right? And then he got word of what was going on. People were advising him, yo, Tyson, like, the fight's only 2 or 3 weeks away, man. Like, we don't think you're ready. Do you think you're ready? Then he supposedly got COVID, right? As we all know. Now, during that whole COVID stretch, he probably wasn't training. If he was half-ass training, doing deadlifts, attempting to break his spine in half. And his daughter was going through what she was going through. So he hasn't been training. Like, literally, he hasn't been properly training. Now, with a little bit more than a month to go, about 5 weeks, he's back in the UK trying to ramp it up against a guy who's been training specifically for Tyson Fury for at least a minimum of 6 months. Keep that in mind, Tyson Fury fans. Keep that in mind. Antoine says Breland wasn't loyal. He pissed on Wilder too quick after the separation. Somebody who made a video about Breland. Where did I see that? I can't remember what channel it was, but somebody was saying the topic was brought up about Breland again a couple days ago. And it got pretty heated. There's some channels out here who take an extreme offense to Deontay Wilder, quote unquote, throwing Breland under the bus. So the topic is still alive. And I don't know why it's still alive after how many months now that the separation is done and dusted. They're no longer in each other's lives. Deontay has moved on. I don't know if Mark Breland has moved on or not, but it's still being discussed on YouTube openly and passionately. And it's quite astounding to me. I mean, I haven't spoken about it in at least over a month. I haven't said really anything about it. I've moved on. I did the film study of the second fight. I pointed out the things I wanted to point out and whatnot, and that's it. I left it there. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Deontay Wilder's moving on. He's got a new trainer, and I don't think he's worried about the movements that Mark Breland's doing. But there is still a lot of animosity. And why, though? Why do you feel so strongly that you got to continue to drill home the fact that you feel so hurt of what Deontay did? Like, I don't understand. Like, are you worried? Are you worried that Deontay Wilder has actually got a new trainer and is looking better than what he did? Or what? I don't get it, but it's still happening. This is going to be crazy. I'm going to see it live. Well, you're in for a treat, Trick Boxing. You're in for a treat, man. I hope you got good seats. Get comfortable. And maybe I'll catch you for the after party. SM, everyone expecting that right to do damage, and I'm sure it will, but it's that left in this fight that's going to give Fury problems. Wilder going to be like Neo come October 9th. I mean, he's going to be smooth. He's going to be sliding and gliding. He's going to be much more relaxed. He's going to be confident. He's going to be in shape. And Fury's going to have to gas himself up big time because he no longer has the edge. At one point in time, he did have the edge. At one point in time, Deontay Wilder wasn't mentally there yet. He was still trying to make sense of what happened. There was a time. His opportunity or his real kind of chance, even though I still think he would have lost, was July 24th. Is although Wilder had already started to recover and move on and develop and already to look like a new complete fighter, I would say it was about 90 to 95%. Whereas now, 110%. You've given Deontay Wilder too much damn time to contemplate and to let everything soak in and devise an ultimate game plan to destroy you. There will be no plan or there'll be no discrepancies in the plan, basically. All the discrepancies and the what ifs have now been weeded out. So Fury has to gas himself up, man. I'm telling you. And all those people out there, all those Fury fans saying, oh, man, he's got too much skill. It doesn't matter. Fury is too big. He's too strong. He'll walk Wilder down. He used boxing skill. He's got better boxing IQ, etc., etc., etc. I hope you have your crow on standby. Because like I've been saying for months, all of those messages I got on my videos and on my live streams, best believe they've been screenshotted. And you best believe after Wilder's victory, after the party, after I come on here and celebrate with my friends and my families and my brothers and my sisters here celebrating the victory, guess what? I'm exposing all of you, especially you content creators. You better come crow ASAP because Divine Sense Boxing is coming for your ass. I'm telling you. I've been quiet. I'm going to let you guys sit back there, talk all of this craziness. I've allowed it to happen, waiting for October 9th. Come October 10th, you guys better come out and eat your crow. Because I'm telling you, I'm coming. Make sure as you guys come in, man, you guys hit that like button, man, as always. Now, another cool thing to look at here is the jab, right? Notice how he jabs. That's kind of like a left hook. All right, this is a perfect steel shot right here. So jab, look how high his shoulder is, right? Perfect positioning. Really high shoulder, protect it from the right hand. Fundamentally sound, a fundamental jab right there. Foot positioning is very good, right? Very easy for him to step across, step forward with that left foot and drop in that right hand if he wanted to. But what I'm looking more at the jab itself, which is what they're looking at or what they're training. And that high left shoulder, eye still on the target, right hand is up protecting the chin. It is fundamentals right here. Fundamentals. Jab at the body. And we got the rope work. Who are you guys all talking to? You all talking to Hawker Mustang? Y'all just let him chat away. Oh, the body shots. Ah. Oh my God, man. Tyson Fury is about to get knocked out. Look at this. That's that liver shot right there, people. That's that liver shot. Left hook slip out. Jab, jab. Right hand dip out. I love that, man. I love that right hand and dip underneath like that. Avoid the counter. Look at that. See? See what I'm saying? Right hand dip out. Avoid the counter. And putting torque behind those left hooks. You guys can think what you want to think, man. You can stay up on your high horse all you want. El Jefe, what's good, man? Mind you, I'm a Wilder fan, but I've revisited the rematch multiple times, and Wilder was completely smashed. So, question for you, El Jefe. Have you seen my film study of the second fight? Have you seen the film study that I did of the second fight? That's all I want to know. No need to get into a debate. That's all I want to know. So, for those of you still here, let me check to see what the poll is at. We got, who do you see as the next undisputed heavyweight champ? We got Fury at 10%, Wilder 83%, Joshua 3%, and then we have other at 3%. So other, I would imagine, would be, I don't know, Dillian White, Usyk. If you have a specific name in mind, let me know in the chat. But we do have 3% who voted for other. So that's what the poll is currently at. So interesting. Divine, I'm available if you want company on this topic. No imposition, just saying. Oh, no, man. I got the link pinned up there at the top. Go ahead and jump in. Maybe that'll motivate some other people. I definitely know for a fact that there are some lurkers, as you always say, Stormy, in the shadows, peeking behind the blinds and bushes. They're there. At least Hawker Mustang has the courage to comment because most people don't. Levon says El Jefe is a known notorious troll. Is he? Damn, I thought El Jefe was legit, man. What's going on here? What's the word that I'm hearing on the street? What's the word, bro? Well, you said you haven't. I implore you to do so. I implore you to watch the film study that I did on the second fight. It's on my channel. Wilder versus Fury 2. It's 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's long. But if you're somebody who thinks that Wilder got smashed, he got completely outclassed, which is the general consensus by most media and Fury fans, obviously, and casuals, and possibly even some Wilder fans like yourself, El Jefe. They think that Wilder was beat down, outclassed in the second fight. Okay, fine. Go watch my film study. I'm telling you. It's on my channel. Check it out. And if you're curious, I've done this many, many times. And, it's astounding to me that people still haven't watched it. Now, I don't know if that's because they don't want to or they didn't see it or whatever the case may be. But it's something that I feel, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like it's something that everybody has to watch. It's right here, El Jefe, right here. Fury vs. Wilder 2 film study. What went wrong for Wilder? All right. So I broke down the fight piece by piece, brick by brick. The live chat was displayed here. I've displayed it on the right here so you can listen to what people are saying while I was going through the fight. People were pointing out things that were very interesting. Obviously, myself. Nice, healthy conversation in the chat. And yeah, so like I said, man, check it out. And then you can come back and tell me what you think. Or, of course, you can leave a comment and tell me what you think. Two, four, five, four, Tony. I always say that styles make fights. Fury beat Wilder, Wilder beats AJ, and AJ beats Fury. However, third fight definitely works in Wilder favor, in my opinion. I agree with you. Fury beat Wilder. Okay, Wilder beats AJ. AJ beats Fury. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, Tony. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm not sure if you're subscribed to the channel, but consider it. Stay a part of the conversation. Yes, Hawker Mustang. I've heard that multiple times. Max Kellerman. Yeah, probably a distant relative. Who knows? But in the meantime, guys, let's go ahead and talk about enough about Wilder. Let's talk about the division and how I see it unfolding. Like I said, I'll go ahead and make a prediction video when it comes to Joshua Usyk, which is right around the corner as well. And I think it's going to be a very challenging fight for Joshua, more than what a lot of people, I think, are really considering. I think people are kind of going with the notion that he's bigger, he's taller, he's got a longer reach, he has more power, and they're just kind of riding with that, and he's the champion, and et cetera, et cetera. But you really have to ask yourself, like, who has Joshua really fought? You know, I think that is a question that really needs to be looked into. You know, who has Joshua really fought? And take that into consideration. Also take into consideration Usyk's astounding amateur career. Not saying that Joshua's wasn't very good as well. They both went to the Olympics in London in 2012. They both won a gold medal. Okay, so you know that it's a quality matchup. It's a very quality matchup. But just to browse through real quickly, Joshua's record here. Okay. We'll start off with Dillian White. So he beats Dillian White, Charles Martin, Dominic Breazeale, Eric Molina, Klitschko, Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker, Alexander Kin, fought Andy Ruiz twice, lost the first one, won the rematch, of course. Fought a guy that a lot of people didn't know, Kabrat Pulev. And, of course, he's got Usyk in his next fight. 24-1. So I will save most of my thoughts for the prediction video that I will drop here within the week. So I just wanted to put this up here for the sake of conversation. You guys can leave in the comment section, what do you think about this resume? Do you think it's a solid? Do you think it represents, you know, a champion who has fought everybody at every possible time? Let me know what you think of your opponents. Let's not forget that the Klitschko victory, where he won the vacant WBA and IBO heavyweight titles was after Klitschko already lost to Fury. So, keep that in mind. Now, you have the Joseph Parkers, Povetkin, I feel like gave him a lot of problems early in the fight. As a matter of fact, a lot of fighters gave him issues that he had to then overcome later in the fight. So I'll leave that up there. You guys can tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Razor531, what's good? Jim Diamond, good to see you, man. Glad to see that you made it. So this is the resume of Anthony Joshua. All right, now let's quickly browse over Usyk. Now, when it comes to Usyk, as I said, he won the heavyweight gold in London in 2012 for a little quick accolade there. At heavyweight, hasn't done much. Obviously, he's a cruiserweight, right? He's a cruiserweight. And pretty damn good record, in my opinion, for a cruiserweight for a guy that's only had 18 fights. He beat, as we all know, he beat Derek Chisora. He won the Intercontinental Heavyweight title, and he immediately steps up and fights Anthony Joshua. So you're a guy in Usyk who was not afraid to, one, let his O go. He could have stayed in the cruiserweight division, or he could have went up to heavyweight, some, maybe top 10, top 9, top 8, whatever it may be. But he goes straight to the top and goes for Anthony Joshua, right? So this is a risky fight for Joshua, in my opinion. It's a very risky fight. Because Deanna, what's good? Good to see you in the chat. Glad to see you made it. It's a risky fight for for Joshua, because guy, as a southpaw, coming up from cruiserweight, we know that he has a lot of boxing skill. We know he will be a challenge. I don't think anybody's predicting this to be an easy fight for Joshua, even though most people are favoring Joshua, considering he is a true heavyweight, 6'6", 250 or whatever he is. He will be bigger, longer, and is a decent boxer himself. But when you bring to the table a southpaw ability, you bring also a very distinguished amateur record, who has good hand speed, good boxing movement, good boxing IQ, who outwork you. I mean, he can outwork you. He only needs to win 7 out of 12 rounds, right, to get a decision. And so, again, I'll make a prediction video of this fight, Usyk and Joshua. Make sure you guys stand by to watch that. I'll give you guys more thorough detail, and I'll let you know who's going to win that fight. But I just wanted to kind of do a food for thought, because this kind of segues into tonight's conversation of who will be the next undisputed champion, heavyweight champion. Because if Joshua doesn't get past Usyk, it kind of just throws a monkey wrench into the heavyweight division. So we have a lot of different scenarios that can come into play. Now, Joshua has a majority of the belts. Okay, so if he loses, that's critical when it comes to the conversation of undisputed, because we don't know what Usyk will do if he does indeed beat Joshua. Will they go into an immediate rematch? Will Usyk say no and he'll fight the winner of Fury Wilder? Will he hang on to the belts for a while, go back to cruiserweight? I mean, you just don't know, right? Now, if Joshua wins, it's pretty much already established that if Joshua wins, he should fight the winner of Wilder and Fury. I know we have Dillian White there, and he deserves it and all that. I don't know how all that will play out, but essentially the three kings of the heavyweight division, right? Fury, Wilder, Joshua. So I think you guys get my point here that if Joshua loses, it literally throws a monkey wrench into the heavyweight conversation in regards to Undisputed. So there's a lot of pressure, I believe, on AJ. Now, more than likely, if he loses, they'll probably do a rematch right away. And, given that he did very well against Andy Ruiz, maybe he comes back and avenges it. But that's not a guarantee, at least not right away. So here we go, guys. Here are the heavyweight division. Deanna says, or let me go to Razor first. Razor says, I was impressed with Usyk boxing ability in his last fight. Me too. I know a little bit about him from the Olympics in 2012, but I didn't really pay attention because I thought he was going to stay at cruiserweight. I don't typically watch cruiserweights that often, but nonetheless, I think he displays excellent boxing ability, and like I said, he's going to give Joshua problems. Deanna says it's going to be damn close. It's going to be damn close. If AJ does win, and if he does win, it'll be by decision. So Deanna says that he can't, or he won't, rather, knock out Usyk. See, I'll give you a prelude into what my prediction will probably be. I'm not 95% confident on where I stand on my prediction, but I will, like I said, I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. If Joshua wins the fight, I think he'll win by. That's my opinion. If he wins the fight, it'll be my knockout. I don't think it goes to decision. I think that if he has an advantage, it is in size, it is in range, it is in reach, it is in weight, and it is in power. So that's how I see it. Now, can he land that big punch? Can he put a combination together? Is the question at hand. Trick says, there's going to be a rematch clause. More than likely, yeah. We got Stormy B in backstage here. I'm going to bring him in just in a moment. Just want to get through some comments here. He won't. They're already trying to get around Wilder with Joe Joyce. That's the name that was slipping me earlier, Deanna. Thanks for dropping that name in there. That's who they're trying to go after. Yeah. So I have the rankings here of the heavyweight division. We got Tyson Fury, who the ring has, and he's got the ring WBC. Got Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua has the IBF, WBA, WBO, Wilder, and then Dillian White. Notable mentions, we have Joseph Parker, Andy Ruiz, Luis Ortiz, Michael Hunter at the top 7 there. So that's what it's looking like. Now, I do want to say one thing real quickly about Joshua before I bring in Stormy B, is that one thing that kind of stands out to me when it comes to Anthony Joshua's record is he never fought Luis Ortiz. So my question for the chat is, can he beat Luis Ortiz? And Deontay Wilder fought him twice and stopped him twice. Yes, styles make fights. But nonetheless, he never fought Luis Ortiz. As a matter of fact, nobody wants to fight Luis Ortiz. And this is a guy that, he's a 50-year-old man. And then nobody wants to give Deontay Wilder credit for beating Luis Ortiz. But yet, Fury and Joshua don't want to fight him. They had ample opportunity to fight him. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And that's a legitimate question for the chat. Do you think Joshua could beat Luis Ortiz? Legitimate question. I mean, he might be able to do it now because Ortiz is even older, right? But back 4 or 5 years ago, I don't know. Let me know. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and bring in the sensei, Stormy B, standing by in the backdrop here, probably chopping at the bit. Stormy B, what's good?
Yo, what's good with you, brother? And thank you for having me on. I been listening for the whole show and was actually one of the ones that was waiting, for you to go live because, with there being no fights on this evening and everything, I was looking for some quality boxing talk, and guess where I found it? So
I appreciate it.
thank you again. Salute to everybody that's out there in the chat. I was chopping it up with a couple of people out there. You got a great subject this evening. And as you moved on into this subject about AJ, you begged the question about whether or not, AJ could be that guy to, take the division forward in the future. And just to offer a thought on that, I would just offer right off the bat, I'll say with an emphatic, absolutely not. AJ is one of the most vulnerable champions in present day boxing. But one of the things I'd like to point out to people who watch the sport, follow AJ and everything, is that just as you had his resume of his boxing record up on the screen a moment ago, one of the things that has always been a fancy of observation with fighters and how they presently are and where they could go would be he has not
Yes.
improved one iota. And the fact that he was able to come back and defeat a woefully out of shape Andy Ruiz Jr., unmotivated, and the way he fought him was really not indicative of a champion looking to go back and prove to the naysayers that, hey, that first fight was a fluke. Remember, he said it was a punch from the gods, right? Well, he must have saw them in the ring in the rematch because he didn't want to go near the guy. So that tells me a lot. His performances prior to that loss to Ruiz and his 2 victories since the loss over Ruiz and then Pulev have shown me no marked improvements, none whatsoever. And me speaking about him being vulnerable, part of the reason why he is so inactive is because of that vulnerability. He doesn't give confidence to his handlers that they can just put him in with someone. And that speaks volumes. The man doesn't, it's like, it's like the opposite of having a rabbit's foot. The rabbit's foot is supposed to be for good luck, right? Well, if it's an albatross or if it's something of bad luck, what do you call it? You call it Anthony Joshua.
Right.
He's the prototype look of a heavyweight that you would like. 6'5", 250 pounds. He's built like an Adonis and everything. But he doesn't exemplify that in the ring. He doesn't translate from being that image into being the fighter. You see, Michael B. Jordan looks good when he's playing in the role of Creed Jr., right? But he's an actor. You try to put him in there with one of these guys like Earl Spence or the Charlos or something, and he will get slept.
Right.
Well, for AJ, what he hasn't realized yet, that boxing, professional boxing, is not a movie, man. Though they may treat you like a movie star. So These are the things that people really need to put into the ideology of what you're looking at. Remember, when he came back and defeated Ruiz in Saudi or wherever it was they fought, everybody was giving him and commending him for fighting the right type of fight and using movement and everything. It's easy to move against a 300+ pound man who ain't trained on nothing but pizzas and tacos, huh? Probably haven't done any road work, but decided to beating his feet to the doorway of a restaurant. So why were they giving him such accolades for that? But nobody wants to talk about what you've seen with the footage that you showed earlier of Wilder, who has gone back to the drawing board and shown market improvement. And as I stated in your chat, I said, be careful for the things they haven't shown you, because they have some tricks up their sleeve. They want to call him a one-trick pony. No, he's not a one-trick pony. You don't medal in the Olympics being a one-trick pony. But he's been taken back to the basics because he's always had the talent to do certain things. He just didn't have the teacher to bring them out of him. And you're seeing the results of that hard work right now.
Yeah, and before you go deep into Wilder, it's okay. Let me just real quickly. We have one guy in here saying that he thinks you're being a little bit too hard on AJ. That's one of my my channel memberships, Big Dog Willie.
Oh yeah, he's one of mine too. That's Big Dog Willie. I know Big Dog.
Big Dog.
Listen, remember my comments as I opened. I said that there are people who follow him and everything, but I'm not blinded by Stardust. Don't forget Big Dog Willie and Chat and Divine. I've worked in the gym with fighters. I don't talk just blowing smoke. And I'll tell you something else. If you're not hard with critique on fighters, you don't leave an avenue for them to be challenged and try to improve. AJ has the opportunity to prove me wrong, but I didn't get to this point not knowing what I'm saying.
Let me get your thoughts on this.
I don't observe from the vantage point of having Stardust in my eyes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get your thoughts on this now that we're on the Anthony Joshua topic, and we'll revisit Wilder because we do have some new people that are joining us, and I'm sure they would love to hear our thoughts about Wilder. So this is an article by Sky Sports, obviously. Anthony Joshua versus Usyk. Joe Joyce will be ringside to challenge the winner for a future heavyweight title fight. So this is the new the new, what do you call it? The new duck move, the new slithering through the grass to avoid Wilder or Fury for that matter. For me, it's a situation of Joshua will still figure out a way, and his team will figure out a way not to fight either Wilder or Fury. And no disrespect to Joe Joyce and no disrespect to Dillian White either. But still, we have three juggernauts of the heavyweight division. And Wilder and Fury are going to fight each other for the third time. Yet Joshua hasn't fought either of them. And I mentioned earlier that he hasn't even fought Ortiz. And I was saying this before you came on, that people like to criticize Ortiz for being an opponent that has no credibility when he fought Wilder, but yet your boy Joshua never fought him. And so I find this ironic, and shout out to Deanna. She's the one who put the memory back in and said, oh, Joe Joyce is the next in line to fight the winner of Usyk and Joshua, which I find very disrespectful to Wilder or Fury. And obviously I think Wilder's going to win the fight, which will be another disrespect move to Wilder once again. So what's your thoughts on this article and the fact that Joshua is already starting to go for Joe Joyce and not the winner of Fury and Wilder?
That only gives an indication of who he really thinks is going to win the fight. And as he did before the second fight between Fury and Wilder, he made no notice of interest in facing the winner of that fight because he thought even at that time that Wilder would be victorious. So it's not a surprise that he would look in a different direction. However, as I stated, it's been a year ago, I said the walls are closing in on AJ. I said he's going to mess around and give the other guys who's not on everyone's list of notification right now a chance to develop and catch up to him. And the next thing you know, because he has multiple titles in his possession, he's going to have to start fighting some of those guys. They will become number one contenders. You could go back in my archives and see my videos on that. I said that over a year ago. And Joe Joyce may be the first man up. But you still have guys like Jared Anderson, F.A. Ajaba out there, Big Baby Miller, the other one that from New York, if he happens to come back, you're going to have men out there who will be able to become mandatory contenders for certain titles that are in his possession. And thanks, Jay Carrillo. Also, Danny Dubois is on a fast track toward getting right back in the mix. So to me, I don't care about that because he doesn't want to fight Wilder. He's afraid of Wilder. And not afraid like, oh, I'm scared of, but he's seen Wilder's punch. He doesn't have confidence in himself of being able to deal with that.
It's too much of a risk.
Well, there's a risk every time you get in the ring.
Sure.
See, that's not something to hang your hat on. What you hang your hat on is understanding that you have a guy who's not confident against a guy who's always reflected supreme confidence, even to the point that AJ has questioned it publicly to reporters. He said, why is that guy so confident? What makes him so assured of himself? Well, buddy, if the reporters got to answer that for you, you really need to go back to the gym, huh? But, you know, and I know this comes across like Big Dog Willie said, like I'm being hard on AJ. I'm being real, okay? This is not a sport where you powder someone's fanny and put a diaper and pamper on them and let them go.
Yeah.
When you put your charge in that ring, he should be fully capable and prepared for the task at hand. AJ, and I'm sorry, I got to say this last point because this is what I wanted to say to wrap up talking about him. He has shown no marked improvement since becoming the champion with those belts that he has in his possession. The one thing they tried to do is make sure that they keep a stranglehold over the division by keeping those titles at home. And you do that by selectively picking fights against threats that are not so imminent. And they're looking at Usyk as a mandatory, of course, but this is a dangerous fight for AJ because the man has been an undisputed champion himself. He's a better fighter than Andy Ruiz Jr. Okay? Head and shoulders better. And he's not going to cave in just because AJ hits him hard because he's a big man. This man realizes being undisputed cruiserweight champion, if he could get in there and become nearly undisputed heavyweight champion by defeating AJ, he's already set himself up for the Hall of Fame.
Crazy.
So see, people are not looking at these things the way they should be looking at them. And he has pedigree like AJ, but AJ has not gotten better. His performance against Pulev was atrocious. It was. So, and think about it. He's been hanging outside of the ring, trying to see what was going to happen with Fury and Wilder in their arbitration, even though he was trying to act like they were negotiating. He knew what was going on. But as I stated on my show last night, he could have been a man and stepped up and said, you know what? I would really like to wait and see what happens with these two men and let them get their unfinished business taken care of. And I'd be interested in taking on the winner. That way, that would have put to rest anything. But did he do that? Absolutely not. He went through with trying to act like they really had a deal and things were going to happen for him and all of that. Dude, come on. I've been around the block. There's a lot of people in modern boxing today that they rely heavily on what old media says. And old media doesn't reveal a lot of the truth. So they have to come in. If they come here, they get the truth here from us. So does it sound like I'm being harsh? Absolutely it does. But what I'm telling you sounds a lot better than what you hear from old media when they're always talking these guys up. And then when you see them in the ring getting smashed like Pacquiao was, they try to find excuses for what's happening.
His water was spiked.
Yeah. Legs got cramps and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah. I mean, I've already went down the rabbit hole in that. But I think to your point in regards to you being too critical or being too harsh on AJ, you can tell me what you think about this, but I think a lot of it stems down to, somebody of your stature and knowledge of the sport, been around for a long time, you understand and appreciate how heavyweights have conducted themselves throughout history. As recent as Holyfield and Lennox Lewis and, Michael Spinks and all those guys in the 90s and the 80s, they fought everybody. They wanted to prove that they were the best. And, I think that kind of understanding is what drives us to pinpoint the current heavyweights and how they're not willing to fight each other. And on that note, Deontay Wilder, I don't think cannot be criticized for that, because I truly believe that he would have fought anybody given the opportunity. Now, I know a lot of people have criticized, he didn't fight Klitschko, or, he could have fought Joshua, but he didn't. Well, since when did Joshua ever say that, or any actually try to fight Wilder? I mean, he may have said it, but he didn't really want that fight. You know what I mean? And the reason why the Fury fight was made was because Fury was coming out of drug addiction and alcoholism and contemplating suicide. Nobody else wanted to fight him, even though he just got done beating Klitschko. Nobody wanted to fight him. Wilder said, I'll fight him. And then instead of giving him credit for bringing Fury back into conversation, he was criticized once again because, he cherry-picked Fury because Fury was, he wasn't himself. He was a shell of himself. So the media and the fans can continuously twist the narrative in regards to Deontay Wilder. Once again, we go back to Ortiz. Everyone at that time was like, Ortiz, man, he's knocking people out. He has that Cuban, pedigree of boxing. He's dangerous. And Wilder says, what? Nobody's going to fight him? Well, shit, I'll fight him. And then he fights him. Close fight, but ends up taking him out. And then they said, it was too close, man. It was too close. I think he got lucky. I think Wilder got lucky. So he goes in and beats him again, even quicker. Now we have a Wilder who beat Ortiz and beat everyone else before and after that. That was basically a fighter that hasn't been able to unleash his full potential yet. Now, how amazing is that? Now with Malik Scott, and let's segue back into Deontay Wilder for those who are just joining. How amazing is that? That Wilder was able to accomplish what he accomplished without even unleashing his full potential. At 35 years old, he is just now starting to understand that, wow, I can do more than what I was doing. I can be more devastating than what I was. And what will the tune be? When Wilder knocks out Fury in grand fashion on October 9th, what will the tune be? oh, Fury was battling with COVID. His daughter was sick. He couldn't train properly for the fight. And I don't want to hear nothing. His ass got knocked out, period, point blank. Now go sit in the back, Fury. And Joshua, if you win against Usyk, which I think is going to be a tough situation for you, Joe Joyce has got to wait because Deontay has been waiting basically for 3 years dealing with Fury's bullshit. So it's Deontay Wilder's turn to become the undisputed heavyweight champion. If you get past Usyk. So those are my thoughts. And you can segue after that, Stormy, man, but we notice a trend when it comes to Wilder. Every time he fights somebody, oh, it was too quick. Oh, he hasn't showed us real skill. To the point where he beat Bermane Sterving the first time, getting criticized massively in the media for being a one-trick pony, for only being able to have knockout power. What does he do? He outboxes Bermane Sterving the entire fight. And then he got criticized again because he didn't knock him out. So my question is when is it going to stop? Will it ever stop? I don't know, but quite frankly, I don't care. As long as he gets his just due, and that is to be the undisputed champion, people can say whatever they want to say about him. But I'll go ahead and leave your thoughts.
Well, it's not going to stop. I can tell you that right now, because they've put so many roadblocks up to prevent him from even trying to get his contracted, obligated third fight with Fury. When have you ever seen people who don't even have anything to do with the sport of boxing, and even professional fighters and commentaries that are not necessarily from your country or whatever, come out and speak against a former heavyweight champion who lost for the first time in his career, regardless of the circumstances around it, but he lost for the first time in his career? When have you ever seen that people come together almost as a wall and state that he should go sit down and let other people continue on with their careers?
Right.
There was a collective effort by broadcasters, analysts, even professional fighters who were all on board celebrating a man who had 10 title defenses, okay, celebrating his loss and just trying to usher in someone else to go forward with titles, when all he did was represent the organization whose title he held very well. He represented the sport very well. When they told him no, proved that by developing a fan base and support that happened almost like overnight. And he's been accessible and everything, respectable. You don't hear about him in the police blotter. You don't hear about him in the reality aspect of social media. You just hear about him when it's time for him to fight. But everybody was condemning him and pushing him out the door, saying, yeah, he's done now. Let's see what happens next. Dude, he had a contracted, obligated third fight because he was the champ, and actually went in the first fight saying, we'll give the guy a rematch anyway. So he exercised that for the second fight, meaning that he wasn't running from competition. Now, all that being said, the only concern that I have now is that they try to take it from him again without him not taking care of it in the ring, which is definitely why Malik will be pressing him to get the job done inside the distance. And he's very capable of doing that, but it has to be done in a technical fashion. And that's what we want to see. We don't want to see him get disqualified for anything, you see, because that'll be something that they try to bait too.
Right.
We've seen the people have shown their hand. This is not something that is it's not something that is unseen or unforeseen. They've shown their hand. They don't want this man to be the champ of the world. They don't. I don't know if it's something behind the scenes because of the brotherhood. I don't know if it's something behind the scenes because he didn't kowtow, but I can see it. Okay? And let's just be honest. In this society, there are other aspects of society that you do have to toe along to get along. And I'll leave that at that. Yeah, that's the truth, people.
Yep.
There's a ceiling.
Absolutely.
For you and I. There's a ceiling. But for those who toe along and get along, the ceiling opens up. And then there becomes levels after that. But as David Chappelle once famously said, his dad told him, name your price when you get there, because you got to be sure that you don't want to concede your beliefs. You don't want to concede, what you're really about and everything. And if that be the case, that'll be where you'll be. But if you waffle or if you leave it unchecked, then you're at the mercy of the other people. That's the way it works, man.
Yeah.
You ever seen someone get a job promotion on a job that didn't deserve it? And a person who had all the merits, all the experience, everything in the world, he's like, that guy's the perfect fit for this seat. And they push him to the side and they bring an idiot in there and sit him right down there. It happens in our everyday lives.
It's crazy too, because you would think that in heavyweight boxing, fans would love a knockout artist. They would love the fact that Deontay Wilder does what he does. The way that people not only loved Mike Tyson, but feared Mike Tyson. But for some reason, especially after the second fight, it's been happening for a while, but it went to a whole new level after the second fight against Fury, where it seemed like a massive amount of people just turned their back on Wilder. And to me, it's just I understand that if you are not willing to do the research and you want to just look at it for face value and say like, oh, he was just making excuses. He couldn't accept defeat. Okay. I can't always blame people for their ignorance. Some people are sheep and others aren't. But at the same time, even if you feel that way, have you forgotten what the man has done for heavyweight boxing? Have you really just forgotten the things that he's accomplished that quickly? But we'll leave that for food for thought. And I just want to get your thoughts on here. I'm playing this training video again, and I've already kind of walked through it with those who have been a part of the live stream tonight and those who have just joined. I've pointed out very noticeable changes. And obviously it's the slipping, the footwork, maintaining range and distance, utilizing his power properly, going to the body, which, we talk about it all the time. Going to the body as a heavyweight is sometimes and a lot of times abandoned, right? Because you're a heavyweight. A lot of heavyweights go head hunting. But going to the body makes a huge difference. Huge. And I talked to a Fury fan a couple days ago. He said, oh, it don't matter. Fury's too big. Going to the body, it don't matter. He's got all that body weight there. He's got all that fat there. I mean, this is the type of stuff that people think. I'm like, he ain't going to the fat of his body. He's tearing into that rib cage. He's digging up into that rib cage. The liver is the biggest organ in your body. I don't care if you're 5'2" or 6'9". And he is working that left hook to the body. Right? On purpose. With ferociousness. So, to my point earlier is that think about all the things that he's accomplished so far in his career with not having his full potential unleashed. It is incredible. And at 35, we're seeing a brand new and improved and much more dangerous Deontay Wilder. Not only somebody that has always had the athletic ability and punching power, and bronze medalist, had some very good fundamentals, but now we're seeing a whole new level now.
Divine, I
look at that.
I want to ask you a question so you can help the audience understand exactly what you're talking about. You work as a fitness trainer with people, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever had a person, let's just call them student for now, but have you had a student under your tutelage and you showed them some things, while they're, working with you, some things that they never saw or did before, and it introduces them to something that they can see that is an immediate benefit? Can you share with people, once that transpires, what happens to that individual and their mental approach to what they're doing?
That's a great observation, and perfect for this topic, because I work with all different factions of people. Sometimes I work with weight loss clients, and sometimes I work with athletes that are already fit, they're already strong. They're trying to take their training to the next level. And when you help them discover their full potential or their new potential, or they learn a new skill, or they learn that they're stronger than what they think, it a lot of times is no coming back from it. It's like a taste of victory in a way. And when somebody loses 20 pounds, 30 pounds, it becomes addicting. You create a whole new, brand new person. When somebody has a new bench press or a new squat, or they run a little bit faster, or they do a workout, their cardio improves, their endurance improves. And so working with fighters in particular, I've worked in the corners for strength and conditioning for fighters. And a lot of times, you work with guys that have astounding ability as far as, the fundamentals and whatnot. They're good fighters, but they lack the capacity to last 5 rounds in a Muay Thai fight, or 8 to 12 rounds in a boxing match. Or you see something in them that, it could be a left hook, it could be an uppercut that they're abandoning, or whatever it may be, and you show them that. And I think for Deontay Wilder's case, with Malik Scott, I do believe that I just paused it perfectly on time to highlight Malik Scott here. But for Malik Scott, I think, not only do they respect each other as combatants, but as brothers. They had that respect for each other before and after they fought each other. And of course, now that they're working together. And it was probably a situation where one day Malik pulled Wilder to the side, more than likely after the second fight, and said, if you do this, this, and this, if you jab like that, you move like that. And Wilder's like, let me try it. And as soon as he did, he's like, yeah, that's what I need. That's what I need to do. And although we've already done the film study, right, of the second fight, and we've discovered the fact that Wilder didn't look like himself. But Wilder is not arrogant to the point where he thought that he was invincible. You know, he saw something from Fury that he didn't expect. He didn't expect Fury to come out the way that he did and try to walk him down and bully him, put his weight up on him, you know, put him in a headlock, push his head down, rabbit punches. And he knows that the flicking jab, even though not devastating, but it's annoying. You know, a flicking jab from a very tall man constantly in your face. It's annoying. How do I get around that? How do I counter that flicking, annoying jab? And Malik was probably like, well, this is what you do, X, Y, and Z. And soon as Wilder put the gloves on and started hitting the mitts with Malik Scott for the second time, it clicked in his head. I haven't been getting the proper training. You know, and now that I know that if I do this slip or I do this duck or if I pivot this way or whatever it may be, now I know I'm going to knock this guy out. Like before I was confident in my power, but now I know that not only I have the power, I have the skill to knock him out. And I've worked with people that come from all different types of training backgrounds, and they've been trained one certain way for so long. And let me tell you, Stormy, sometimes old habits are very hard to break. Extremely hard. And you've worked with fighters before. I'm sure you've ran into it as well. And that's why I've always enjoyed working with children, because they come in fresh. They don't got any bad habits. They come in 8, 9, 10 years old. You show them how to do a jab, you know, and it's just everything is like they're like a sponge. They just soak everything in. But you get fighters that come in their 20s, their late 20s, their early 30s, and rather they're self-taught or they've had terrible training. They've got bad habits. And it's hard. It's hard to break it. Now, you can train it, right? And they can show you that they understand, but come fight night, they go back to what they do. This is a
great conversation we're having right now, because I will counter what you were just saying with this. That is true. What you're saying about basically is tough to teach an old dog new tricks, with one exception. Do you know what that exception is? And I'll give you a lead into it, but I'll let you try to answer it. It goes back to my original question that I asked you. If you know what that exception is, give me your thought about it. And I'll tell you what the exception is, but I'm hoping that you're there with me. And if you're not, this will enlighten you and help you even in your work that you do.
You know, I would say that nothing is, I will say this, there's nothing in the world that is 100%. There's always a margin for error or a margin of something that's a little bit different. So
let me stop you right there, because we don't have to overthink the process. It's very simple.
Yeah.
The exception is you can't teach an old dog new tricks unless you introduce something to them in a manner of which they're able to readily receive it, immediately see results, and they enjoy it.
Yes. Yes.
Boom.
And
remember that.
And
remember that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it would be something that can help you in your line of work going forward. And for anyone out there in the chat, it'll help you for anything you do in life. Because as I said many times before, the way I've always coached is I've given people principles that not only can they apply in the immediate physical place where we are, and that was in the gym, but it also helps you in life, because the philosophy is the same. Because every day your life is a battle. Whether you're taking it to task at work, whether you're going to school, whatever it is, life is a battle daily. And you pick your fights through life throughout the day. Sometimes you walk away, Sometimes you plant yourself. But being able to be receptive to something, allow it to take manifest, and then enjoy it will allow you to open up to something else. This is why it's called the sweet science.
Right. Yeah, and in Deontay Wilder's case, obviously he already has the fundamentals. He already has the drive. He already has the ambition, and he has mutual respect for Malik Scott before they even did any training together, and that is very, very helpful, right? And I've worked in similar ways with athletes. They know me through the circles. They've never done work with me, or they know me from years past where I was an athlete and I was competing and stuff like that. And a lot of times it just happens by conversation, and a lot of times athletes, and this is not necessarily Deontay Wilder's case perhaps, but a lot of athletes, they're stuck in their ways, and even though they're starting to not have as much success as what they had in the past, or they match up with somebody who's better, faster, bigger than them, whatever it may be, and they start to doubt themselves, but they're still so stuck that they don't know how to improve, right? And when they go back to training to do the same stuff, it becomes repetitive. And that's where we see fighters where they take a loss or two, they get stuck. They can't find their way out of that. They've been matched up against someone who is better than them, and maybe they can take some lesser fights to build their confidence up, but eventually they have to face that fighter again or somebody of that fighter's caliber and lose again. And this is why this situation with Wilder is unique, because he took a devastating loss and immediately found that connection with Malik Scott. And Malik Scott reached out to him as a brother and as a friend. And as to your point, Stormy, he pointed out things that he could do better, and he made it fun for him. He said, "Look, you're a monster, but now we're going to make you a precise and calculated monster." And you plant that seed. And like I said, as soon as you throw that first combination, blah, blah, okay, step out. And you visually see it, and
You're hitting it on the head, man. You're hitting it on the head. You're exactly right. And it's timely that you have this particular footage playing, because when he was hitting that bag just a moment ago on that footage that you was playing, if you could go back to it, that would be great. But what I noticed is that when you see him hitting that bag, the heavy bag, with Malik standing on the other side, that's totally different from what he was doing in the past. Totally different. And
notice how
the technique of what he was doing there is almost mimicking what you would be doing if you're fighting on the inside. Now, Deontay was never noted for being a fighter on the inside, but now he's also being schooled on how to position himself and what shots to throw when he's in close. So you don't have to worry about pushing a guy back to get your extended reach where you can throw your bombs. You can throw short bombs, okay, and make a guy pay for real estate. See, we talk about these things as coaches, and that's when you can become a complete fighter. When I can hurt you on the inside, and then you try to step out the medium range, and I'm equally as dangerous there as well as from the complete outside. Now you're talking about becoming what I like to call a 5-dimensional fighter. The other 2 dimensions happen to be how you defend and evade shots that can be damaging to yourself, and how you're able to control and dictate the tempo with effective aggression and ring generalship. Those are the 2 finer points, so that round out the 5 dimensions of a fighter. Here we go with the bag work here. That's what I'm talking about. The way you see him working there, you didn't see him working like that in the past. You saw him working from mid-range, throwing shots at the bag with his arms partially extended. He's
and Stormy,
close.
notice how he's throwing his hips. He's pivoting into those body shots.
Exactly.
Where a lot of times we would only see him just throw, strong, big arm punches to the body.
Right.
But now
and that's what I was
he's
talking about
close.
earlier in your chat. When I wrote in your chat, I said how he's throwing his shots with proper technique and everything. Because remember, Deontay was having a lot of injuries. A lot of his injuries were coming from him hurting himself because he was not throwing the punches with proper technique and everything. Now that you're throwing them with proper technique, he's going to be hurting the other guy even more.
Right.
I had said 2 years ago that I believe that Deontay punches equally as hard with his left as his right because he happens to be one of those Alabama-bred, country-strong guys. But the thing is, it was never cultivated, the left. Okay? But I believe he can punch equally as hard with both hands because he's naturally strong like that. He's like Bo Jackson. He's a naturally strong, gifted guy. Whatever athletics he would have competed in, he would have been good because he's just got those genetics. Now you have a man that's teaching him what to do in a proper manner.
Right.
Dangerous. Because
we're talking about
fighting.
I want people to take notice here. Notice that this is like, to Stormy's point, this is all about working on the inside. Now, to all the people out there that says, oh, well, this won't matter because if you get on the inside, Fury will just tie him up. Well, he's probably going to want to tie him up after he takes a couple body shots like this, I'll tell you that. And as a matter of fact, when you put in this type of body work, Fury will actually not want to get close anymore to tie anything up.
Thank you.
He's going to try to stay to the outside.
I'm glad you said that because Fury is not an inside fighter himself. He's not.
No.
In that second fight, their game plan was for him to use the weight, come forward, push Wilder back and things like that, get him on the back foot or whatever. And his dad is correct. It's not going to work this time. But it's not going to work this time because there has been an epiphany or anything. It's just that Wilder has been coached up in the proper manner. And what they did make the great mistake of doing is allowing so much time to go between the last fight and whenever they're going to enter a ring again.
Facts.
If it happens, that this man has become totally coached up now. They would have done well by fighting Wilder 6 months later. But they didn't do that. And as he said, going into the August 24th date, Malik said, what was it? July 24th, when they were supposed to fight. Malik has said, even going up to that point, they had 3 camps already. Okay? So this will make 4. And remember, he's doing sparring too. People were thinking like, well, he's just hitting the pads. No, he's doing sparring too.
Oh, yeah, he is.
You understand? And from what I understand, and thanks to the brother Tay Jones, who is doing a wonderful job with his channel out there, and he gives us updates from time to time, man, he is looking like a well-oiled machine. And that's why I said in your chat earlier, this be aware of what they're not showing you, because they probably have signed NDAs, okay? So nobody can talk about what happens in the gym. But Tay Jones gave us a little insight one time after a session of training where he was filming in the gym. They were like, everybody was, cooling down and everything. He allowed his cell phone camera to go over there by Deontay, who was sitting on the stairs of the ring apron, and he had blood on his shoes. Okay? So it's like no words were said, people. Just showed it. You know what I mean? And it's obvious that means that's not Deontay's blood. Okay?
Yep.
And when I say these things, it's not like, oh, I'm cheerleading for Wilder. I'm telling you things that are evident. And I'm also telling you things that are like not being mentioned by the old media people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like they've been very dismissive of him, but there are people who just don't want to see him be successful, but they can't deny the truth when they look at this footage that they're seeing, like, this is a different guy. But that's nothing compared to the man that's going to show up on fight night. People think that Wilder wants to get in there and just go off and go blazing at this guy, this or that. No,
Nope.
that's not the plan that they have.
Yep.
They're going to break
Patience.
this. If the fight takes place, because I'm still on a high percentage of it not happening. I think this guy's going to pull out at the 11th hour again.
Oh, shit.
Matter of fact, I think he's going to pull out at 11:59 and 59 seconds. That's what I feel. Until they're in there and the bell has rang and the punches start exchanging, that's the way I feel about it. But that's another story.
Don't do it to me.
But what I was going to say is that when this takes place, it's going to be a systematic thing. It's going to be calculated. People are going to be, wow, I didn't know Deontay could box like that. I didn't know he could. I didn't know. I was surprised. Yeah, you should be surprised.
You should be.
Because you were so busy talking in the negative that you didn't even allow space for a person who suffers a setback and wants to go back in there, not because of vengeance, but they want to go back in to prove that I can overcome the setback, which is something that they tried to deny him. You see, that makes all the difference in the world. So the motivation, it's not even the title anymore. It's like, I want to prove the naysayers wrong now. And all he needs is the opportunity. You know how people, when they fight and they say, ain't man, nothing in front of us but space and opportunity. Well, they've tried to create a greater divide of space to deny him his opportunity.
Right.
And if it doesn't take place, woe to the next opponent who he happens to fight. You don't want to be that guy.
Mm-hmm. And I think deep down, Fury knows this, Stormy.
Of course
deep
he
down,
does.
Fury knows this. His dad knows it. His dad was like, you got to get up. You got to get up out of Crunk's gym. You got to get away from Sugar Hill because all that shit you're doing over there is going to get you knocked out.
All that talking his dad does, remember, empty cans rattle the loudest. I've made that example all the time. You carrying a bag of groceries, huh? You just came from the grocery store. You bought a load of canned goods. The bag busts, the cans hit the floor, and they go tink and they roll because they're full of something, beans, whatever, soups, chili. You drop it on the floor, boom, it rolls. But when they're empty and you're taking the garbage out to the garbage can to put it in, and the bag bursts and the cans hit the ground, they go ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, make all that noise, right? That's Mr. Fury, John Fury, talking, making all that noise, but he ain't taking one punch. You see?
Facts. Yeah. And I'm going to kind of wind down this live stream here because speaking of the gym and working out, I got to go to the gym myself. I got an appointment. But I want to go ahead and play through this footage one more time. And I want to point a few things out for people in the chat. This is something that I love to do, and obviously Stormy loves to do, and this is why we bounce off of each other very well when it comes down to breaking down fights and talking about styles. Because, like Stormy said, this is not us cheerleading. This is not, shaking some pom-poms and, yeah, go Wilder, go Wilder. We're breaking down the sweet science. We're telling you guys exactly what we see on a stylistic viewpoint. Fury, I watch Fury's training videos too, people. He ain't doing nothing different. Now, okay, he hasn't released as much, you can argue, but the stuff that he has released, I'm not impressed. Ain't nothing new. And if he thinks he's going to go out there, and somebody wrote a comment in the chat saying that he thinks that Fury will come out the way he did in the first fight. I think he will too. I think he knows that trying to walk down Wilder won't work. He may try it. He may test the waters first round, and he's going to see that Wilder is moving much better, sticking that jab out there, body head, check left hooking, slipping out, and then Fury's going to say, okay, well, that ain't going to work. I'm going to try to box from the outside now. But guess what? Wilder's going to have a plan B. Wilder's going to be ready because he's had 4 training camps to prepare for it. He's going to be ready for anything that you come with on fight night, Fury. He's training for it all. Case in point here, he's doing inside work on the heavy bag. Have we ever seen that before? This is something new. They're preparing for inside fighting. They're prepared for outside fighting. They're preparing for Fury to try to walk him down. They're preparing for Fury to try to box from the outside. But what I want to point out here on the heavy bag work, notice how tight and compact Wilder is here. Chin tucked down nice and low in between his shoulders. Arms close to his body to protect his body. He's coming in for the left hook here, as you can see. Leaning towards the left. Notice how his right foot, the back foot's coming off the floor right there. That's initiating the torque that then he's going to pivot in to his left foot and generate power into that body shot. Okay? And never once breaks that nice, tight, compact. Also notice the head movement. A lot of people don't do that when they work on the inside. Hands up, duck, body. And digging. This man is digging into that heavy bag. So this is something very unique.
Remember, he's a puncher. He can punch. So
absolutely,
a person taking those shots is not going to want to be in close to him.
Absolutely not. And now he's going body head now. All right, so that's inside work. Okay, so he is working on many different facets of his now renowned skill set. And once again, you guys can chuckle, shrug your shoulders, laugh, think it's all a big joke, but only boxing heads know what's going on here. And
even
for all
when
the people
jabbing right there, where you see him jabbing, look at how he keeps the jab, the left hand, in an offensive position. That's what Lennox Lewis was trying to show him in that parking lot years ago when he was trying to show him. Did you ever see that footage, Divine?
Yep.
When Lennox was trying to show him, it was nighttime. They were standing outside in the parking lot. Lennox was trying to show him how to jab and not bring the jab all the way back, but jab from where your elbow was kind of partially bent, you know, and it's like your fist is basically level with your shoulder, okay, but it's extended.
Yes,
and you jab from that point because that keeps the opponent at a further distance. And you don't have to get so close to them, but you could keep them at bay. These are all techniques that Lennox was showing him in a parking lot years ago, and he couldn't get out. He couldn't get that back then. He's doing it right now with Malik. And I would love to hear Lennox's comment on this, because he would come in an affirmation and say, yes, that's exactly what I was trying to show him.
You know, Lennox Lewis, one of the best jabbers in heavyweight history. And that's a good point you bring up, Stormy, because a lot of people, the very basic fundamentals, I guess, like, you know, when I was a kid, my coach always told me, you know, throw the jab, bring it back. Throw the jab, bring it back. You got to protect your face, right? That's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you're learning the fundamentals. Obviously, when you're a kid, you haven't built the dexterity of your left hand yet. Right? Most kids. So you're very right hand dominated. So if you throw a little jab out there and you're not confident with it, that kid's going to come back with a counter right hand. So they teach you, jab it, bring it back, you know. But what Stormy's pointing out here, and I agree with, is like he said, keeping that jab hand out there a little bit, keeping it level with the head, because he has that reach. He's a heavyweight, right? So it's always in an offensive position. So you have the rangefinder, you have the sticking jab, you bring it back, step in it, then you have what I like to call the bazooka jab. So you have many different types of variations of the jab, but when you keep it out there, you know, keep that right hand back so you can parry Fury's little flick and jab, and of course you got your head movement, but also notice, Stormy, when he's jabbing, he leans into it. So he's defending and being offensive at the same time, instead of being stationary and just popping it out there. So he's leaning into it, right? To put into it, but also have the head movement and have that right hand up. So, those little things that, I spend hours upon hours dissecting this type of stuff. So when people come on here and criticize me, you're just a Wilder fan. Okay. We'll see October 9th. Everything that I'm saying, that Stormy's saying, other channels out here that are talking about this man's training, it's all going to come to fruition. It's all going to come to light. Every fight that I break down, this is why it takes me so long. I haven't even talked about the Joshua and Usyk fight yet, because I need time to go through fights. I don't like to just come on here, just make a video just to get it done. I take a lot of pride into my predictions. So this is a long time coming, and this is a lot of hours and effort and energy breaking down this fight. For all the people that stayed, I saw Black Superman jump in here. Shout out to Black Superman. I'm going to tell you right now, don't be surprised if Wilder outboxes Fury and knocks him out. That's from Black Superman. Rice Bro says, salute Divine Sense Reborn, Stormy, B-Man TV, the wrenches, and the chat. Thanks for stopping by, Reese. You dropped in a little bit late, but it's all good. It'll be uploaded on the channel later. And of course, we'll go ahead and play this out. But of course, shout out to Stormy B as always. Thanks for dropping in. And as I mentioned in the chat earlier, this is what I call the Firestorm. Every Saturday night, come on here. I'll let people join in, either to say some thoughts, counter my jab, as I like to say, whatever the case may be. And hopefully we can get something moving here in the near future to make Saturday nights on Divine Sense Reborn to be something, where we can bring people on and have a boxing discussion. But it's always good to, talk about topics like this, where it's much more than just simple boxing talk. It's very in depth, and yeah, no other better than Stormy to come on here and talk about it. And as always, I appreciate it.
Listen, man, I love talking boxing with you, bro, because you get it, And the thing is, it's like, real recognizes real, someone and put anyone down. My boxing critique and everything is very consistent. I've had that experience of dealing with people, both pro and amateur, casuals, and the one thing that people have always come away from me is saying the things to me like, they say, man, you give me a different perspective on how to look at what I'm doing and things like that. And I say, it's all about growth, man. Everybody will grow at their own pace if they're willing to grow. You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
when we talk about boxing like we do, that's what this is all about. So, thank you again for inviting me to come on and share and talk about this. And, we can talk about boxing. It doesn't have to be these people that you talked about this evening, and you'll still get the same type of intensity, technical perspective and everything from me, when I speak about the sport. So,
yep. And on that note, everyone stand by for my prediction video of Joshua Usyk coming out probably within the week. It's going to be as I usually do it. I'll probably do a 10 to 15 minute video upload. I won't go live because I want to try and mix up my uploads and live streams. But I'll probably do another film study because I know that I've had a pretty good reception from the subscribers. They like my film studies, including you, Stormy. You've always joined into that. So we'll do another film study possibly of Joshua and Usyk, and we'll just chop it up. And as we inch closer to that fight, we'll talk about it a little bit more. And of course, we have the October 9th date. I believe Canelo and Plant is signed. Yeah, they're fighting in November, I believe. So that is something else that we can talk about. I have some very unorthodox opinions about the Plant Canelo fight, so stay tuned for that. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. You guys enjoy your Saturday night. Be safe. And I probably will jump on here after the Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul fight, just to jump on here real quickly and give you guys my post-fight thoughts. So you guys can look forward to that too. And yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. I appreciate it. I'll be back in here very soon. And see you until then. Peace.
Peace.